So it's Thanksgiving week. I'm gonna be spending a lot of time at home because we got a bunch of kids coming over here. So I'm gonna use this opportunity to start on the screen door, to make the screen door, even though I'm not anywhere near ready for a screen door. But we're gonna start making a screen door. And instead of, screen doors are complicated, but instead of making all the fancy mortise and tenon joints, I'm gonna make the door in 3 different layers: a front side, a back side, and the inside with all the cross pieces. That's easier for me. And these 2 pieces of leftover treated pine from the roof stripping, actually pretty nice pieces. I'm gonna cut these in half and plane them so I'll get a little less than a 1/2 inch, and that's going to determine the thickness of the outside plies. The inside plies can be whatever. I'll probably try to make the door like 1 3/8 thick or something like that. So I'm gonna cut these to rough length. They'll be long, and I'm gonna rip them down the middle and plane them. So I've got my long pieces resawn with the table saw. I got a bandsaw, but it's acting up and it won't cut straight. And I need to take the time to figure out what it is, but I'm not gonna do that right now. So when I start a new project, I almost always look on YouTube, see what the other guys are doing, try to learn some tricks and tips and the right way to do things and the wrong way, and then I usually apply my marginal workmanship and substandard materials and do the best I can. But on these screen doors, there are so many terrible videos of guys making screen doors with Home Depot white pine and pocket screws, and they're just terrible. I can't believe they post such things. I mean, I'm far from a perfectionist, and my work is always a little wonky, but holy moly, people are posting some cruddy. And watching what they do, I feel like Maloof. I feel like a professional woodworker watching those things. So I've got a bunch of cross pieces out of what I have. It's different thicknesses. Now I'm going to rip it. Actually, my saw ripped 3 inches, so I cut these 3 inches. And I'm going to rip these. In the end, they need to be the same thickness as this. But since I'm going to do glue ups, I'm going to go ahead and make them a little thicker. Do the glue up and then plane them down. So actually, I could glue them up and plane it all down, but it's much more efficient to remove the wood with the table saw than with the plane. So I'm going to cut all these on the saw a little thicker than this and see if I have enough pieces. I think I will be very close. If not, I'll find something else and cut it. All right, so initial round of cutting. I have this junk, or this stack, excuse me, which I can get my 2 5-inch rails for, or 2 5.5s. This will be the top rail. I'll glue it up and then bust it down the middle, so that'll give me 2 5.5s. This will be the middle one. Glue it up, bust it down the middle, let me give me my 2 5s. And then this is 1 10, and this is the other 10. So gotta just clamp them all up and bring them next door where it's a little warmer, and let them sit for a day. My screen door is going to be laminated, 3 layers, 1 on each outside surface and 1 in the middle, and I have enough material glued up for everything except for the interior layer that will be vertically between the cross members. So I need to get that material, because I would like to, once I start planing, I would like to plane it all at the same time. All the middle layers will be 1 thickness and all the exterior layers will be another thickness. It'd be nice to knock that out all at the same time, and that will minimize any discrepancy in the glue up. Got an awful lot of variables here. It's messing with my head, but I think I know what I want to do. A normal door is 6 foot 8 inches tall, and I threw a tape at the teeny house last time we were there, and I'm glad I did, because from the floor to the bottom of that 6x6 beam is only like 6'10", so I thought that'd kind of be crowding it, making things look kind of weird. So I'm going 6'6". Total door height is 6'6". The top, I don't know, what do you call these things? The top rail or stile. The top part is going to be 5. I'm going to have a 4 here, and the bottom is going to be like 7 or 8, because that's where kids tend to kick it. I want to make sure they don't kick the screen. And I think I have enough stuff glued up, so I'm going to rip them to the proper width and then plane them. Ready to glue. It's warm enough. I got all these parts ready. This is what I'm going to glue first. This will be the hardest one of all, because I don't know why, because it's the first one. But I got a fit. I got my framing square to make sure it's square. Got some backing blocks so the clamps won't poke holes on the back side of this, which would be the finished surface. This surface doesn't matter. So let's get it clamped and see what happens. Got it glued and clamped and it's square. I got a little temporary brace at the top. I'm gonna flip this over this way so I can glue the other side, the finished surface on this side. So all these pieces I'm gluing up, it's all old growth cypress. It's better than anything I can get at the Home Depot, at least for this application. So I'm taking the time to use what I have. Well, it's been 2 hours. I'm gonna take the clamps off and glue the next part. That's pretty much building the rest of the doors, gluing and clamping. So this is where the mid rail is gonna go. These are just spacers. And if I did my math right, when the door stood up, this line is going to match the line of the screen porch where the bottom framing goes. And that's going to match where those 4x4s are sticking up to hold the 6x6 redwood columns. And everything should be lovely, I think. But this is ready to glue. You can see where I put a little lip here between the finished ply and the middle ply. And that's because I'm going to have some little boards across here, and that'll give me something to support them with. I'm going to have the same thing here, and I'll fill in between each one. And then when I put the back face of the door or the front face, it doesn't really matter, they'll come up to here also. So it should be super, super strong. Well, it's Thanksgiving morning, and I've been ordered out of the kitchen, so I'm going to come do another glue up. I'm going to glue the top 2 boards together. This is all done. The only thing I don't have yet is I have not ripped the material to go between here and here on the bottom. It would be the same thickness as this, but I have material to cut that out of. I just don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble using the power tools on Thanksgiving morning, but maybe it'll be all right. So it's been a couple hours. I'm gonna unclamp. This is the top piece and that side, and I'm gonna put this side on and start trying to figure out what kind of little things I'm gonna put at the bottom. So now I have a decision to make. I can inset, these crisscross deals, like is pretty popular with screen doors, or I can inset one of these kind of deals, which I think I like better. I think I like the vertical lines. Maybe 5 of them. And they'll be this height. Yeah, that'll work. I think I'm gonna do this, but not right now. I got that finish on one side glued up. After I set these little sticks in here, I'll put the 3rd layer, which will be the finish on this side. All these rough boards will be covered up, and we'll have a sandwich, which will be like super, super, super strong. And we're going with option 3, which I just thought about at the last minute. I like this sunburst stuff. So I got to prepare some little strips. They're going to need to be the same depth as this board. And I don't have any more. And they need to be, I don't know, I think this looks right. That's 7/8. So I'm going to have this nice piece of cypress. I'm going to rip it up. And I don't know if it's going to be enough because it's got this bad spot in it. But it's beautiful wood. So let's see what we can do. Well, this one's good. Let's see what we can do. So I don't know if there's a right way to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. Obviously, I'm putting one in the middle, and I'm putting one in the corner here, and I'm pointing it toward this little point right here. This would be the center of the fan. So then halfway between this one and this one, I'm putting one, and halfway between this one and the corner, I'm putting one, and that's all I'm doing. So I'll do one side, and the other side I can take measurements, make sure they match. Time to get out the little Japanese saw and make some accurate cuts. All cut, ready to glue. Really was pretty easy. Look, this goes in the middle. And these 2, I had to cut a notch for them because I didn't have a lip to set them on. And I didn't want to just shoot a nail in them, so I cut a notch on each one of these, so they should be forever. And so it's been just over an hour, and I took the clamps off, and I cut these little pieces. They go in here, and I'm going to glue them and clamp them. And I'm going to do the same at the bottom. Those are going to be little bitty pieces. And then in an hour or so, maybe right after lunch, I'll take the clamps off. I'll belt sand all this flat because it's almost perfect, but it's not perfect. And I'll start gluing the 3rd layer on. So that's been an hour and a half. Let's get these clamps off give the whole surface a light belt sanding, and start preparing this third layer. It is a holiday week and the kids were over, so we did go for lots of rides in the truckster in spite of it running terribly. Participated in a little run downtown called the Turkey Trot, where Eliza finished first in the 1 mile girls. The old man, yours truly, finished first in his geriatric age division, and Maggie finished second in the overall girls 5K. And when the kids are over, we break out all the bikes and have fun. And Maggie learned how to almost ride the unicycle, which is very impressive because it's not easy, and she tried 100 times before she got this far. And we had a day in the country where the kids had a ball, walking trails, playing by the river, cooking s'mores. Everybody had room, and best of all, my wife has like turned the corner on thinking maybe I'm not so crazy wanting to build this thing after all. She kind of she's in, and that's a good thing. Starting the third and final side. These are the boards that I glued and planed and cut to width day one. They're the same thickness as the ones on the other side, but I just ran them through the table saw and cut a rabbet here for the screen to fit in. So the screen will get stapled here, and then I'll have a little bit of covering board, just kind of neaten it up. So I got this one ready, got this one ready. It has a rabbet on both sides. Now this one ready, so I'm gonna glue and clamp those, and then I probably don't have enough glues and, well, I got glue. Probably don't have enough clamps to do the sides at the same time. They're gonna have to wait and be patient. All right, another 2.5 hours of my life is gone. I'm gonna take all these clamps off, and I'm gonna clamp the side pieces on, and that'll be it for the day. Hey, you seen those YouTube channels where those guys have like 100 clamps and they're all the same brand and they're all the same size, and they line them up? It looks like they pop a chalk line and take a tape measure and measure the spacing and everything. Well, that's a different channel. But I've got the structural part completely clamped. What I have left to do is I need to bring these strips up to this elevation so I can staple the screen and it'll be flat. I got a little deal to deal with on all 6 intersections, and I knew I was going to do that, but I can deal with that. And then I was going to plane the outside edge straight, probably with a router and a straight edge, and glue a cap on the outside edge to cover up this end grain, just to make it look a little better. Getting really close to painting time. It's a new day, not a very pretty day, a rainy day. Well, let's get these clamps off and see what she looks like. Got a little bad spot here that's going to show, so I drilled some holes. I cut some plugs out of matching material, and I stuck them in there with some glue, and I'm going to belt sand them now while that glue's still wet, so they're going to seal up those holes pretty well. 30 seconds with the belt sander, and these are taken care of. This is a paint grade door, so they'll be fine. Now see these little grooves? I got to fill these. I had a choice. I needed to put a groove for the screen. I could have routed, and then I wouldn't have had this problem. But routing around all these little obstacles, I decided just to go ahead and table saw the joint all the way through. And I'm just going to let a little strip in here and sand it flat. And there's 3 on each side. And again, since this is a paint door, it's not going to be a problem. It's just, you got a choice on how to do it, and I decided this is easier for me. All my little strips are glued and clamped to bring this intersection up flushed. And I need to move the door because I need to work on my wife's stainless steel frame. So I'm going to try to pick it up with all these clamps on here. So I've got my straight edge set up, and I got my big router with a flush cutting bit, I guess you call it, just a bit, straight bit. And I'm going to take a little off of this side till it's straight from top to bottom so I can glue a cap on it. And the same with the other side. I don't want to remove much, just the smallest amount I can to get this bump out. So with the help of the router and a straight edge, I got a nice flat plane on this outside edge on both sides. And I'm going to rip and plane a piece of this cypress from the foundry. This isn't as good a quality as this old stuff, but it's better than anything. It's good. But it's pouring down rain outside, and in order to plane longboards, I got to go from the outside to the inside. So it's going to have to wait a while. But yeah, we made some progress today. Got all this straightened up. Got it kind of rough sanded. I've got to cut my little strips that are going to tack down the screen. And I guess I need to put them here, blah, blah, blah. The upper part will be easy. I got to cut the top and the bottom square. I may cut them with the skill saw and then use the router because that works so good to finish it off. Brought home some cypress from the foundry and planed it. This is for another project. And I stole from that bunch 2 strips. And this will be my last glue up. This will cover the end grain of this. There'll be one on each side. We're going to clamp them, glue them and clamp them. And then no more gluing and clamping. After that, you need to cut the top straight. Do a lot of sanding and painting. And we'll have to manufacture these little bitty strips to cover the edges of the bug screen. But that'll be easy. I just finished cleaning up these 4x4s. These came from the same house that was torn down where we got all the 6x6s. I got all the sheets of white 3/8 plywood and a whole bunch of 2x10s and other things. Now, probably this won't matter to anybody else but me. These are fir. These are made out of fir. And Louisiana had hundreds of thousands of acres of cypress timber land, which is most of it's gone now. But it still has hundreds of thousands of acres of pine forest timberland, and they're getting more acreage every year. They're planting more than they cut. And here in this old house is 2 fir 4x4s. You got to drive 2,000 miles before you see a fir tree. So these kind of things just make me scratch my head. And how in the world did this happen? And now it's pink. First coat of red. Looks pretty dang good. Needs another coat. It needs screen. And it needs the little strips to hold the screen in. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it now. Like I said when I started building this thing, I'm not ready for the screen on the porch at the tiny house. And it may be springtime before I get back to that. There's no sense in making this pretty and complete and then have it knock around here and probably get the screen poked out. So I'm gonna leave it like it is and move on to the next project. I need shelves to go at the head of the bed, like a headboard, but there'll be storage shelves. I need a little closet to go out on the porch for brooms and mops. We need an outdoor shower. We need a walkway. We need steps. We need water. We need a water well. We need a lot of stuff. So screen right now, don't need it for the winter. It's our winter time. It's just gonna have to wait. I'm done with this. So hope you enjoyed the video. I'll finish this door, but it may be 3 months from now. So we'll finish this video, wrap it up, and get back to it later, probably much later.